Everybody, hello there.
Change!
It's been a while, folks. It has been a while. We are back with recapping Space and Time, Season 10, also known as Peter Capaldi's final season. I am, as usual, your friendly neighborhood soda, joined by Ben, Big Fudge Rainer, and 50 Shades of Regeneration. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. I'm doing well. Looking forward to talking about this. There should be an interesting conversation, to say the least.
Yeah, it's good to come back, to be back talking about these things.
Yeah, you see a piece of 50 soul dying every day we weren't doing the show.
A little bit.
Well, it's a combination of things, like some of it, life getting in the way and just scheduling and all that stuff. But we are here to finish this out. And as you can see, this is on a new look channel. It's because, yes, we have rebranded. We are now the Northern Entertainment Group. So welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time, what have you. So we're going to do things a little differently. Normally in the past, we would have like a top 5 and a ranking. Just going to have a discussion today. Just talk about this season of Peter Capaldi. Now, 50, can you please promise me you won't go too hard on, who she comes up? Because there was a moment involving where you heard her theme music, where I was like, I like how they did that.
You liked it, yeah.
Yeah. It was in an episode. I think it was in the pilot, the first episode, where Doctor does something, and you hear Clara's theme music because he's reminded that no, he should be better than this, and yeah.
It was when he tried to wipe her mind.
Right, wipe her mind, and he's like, she said, "How would you like it if somebody did that to you?" And then you heard that Clara's thing. It sounded like in the minor, but yeah.
But okay, so did either one of you two watch? I know Ben has. Did you watch the Christmas special?
I got up to it, yes.
So, but you haven't watched it yet.
I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I am up to it. But I don't, me, I don't care for spoilers. Go ahead.
No, because it is part of the season. So, are we talking about this also?
Yeah, for sure. Just because I haven't watched it doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
Okay. I think I know where you're headed, 50, if I could take a guess. He makes an appearance. Am I right? Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, she does make an appearance.
Well, yeah, I know in Twice Upon a Time he does see holograms of his old companions. I do know that.
I wouldn't call it a hologram, would you?
No, it's hard to call it what it is. It's them, but it's also not them. It's them after they died and sort of lived forever as part of the Testimony Project. And I see a look on Soda's face right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
It kind of reminded me of what they did with Amy and Smith.
Yeah, it was Stephen Moffat again trying to recapture that magic with another regeneration. Just, Amy's a much better character than Clara, so,
Clara is the one that is transcendental, is the one linked to Capaldi's doctor, no matter what way you slice it.
It's the same way that Amy was linked.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the first face that face saw.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I just say that for me anyway, I like Capaldi and I'm liking Whitaker, but for me personally, Doctor Who picked Matt Smith. Like, Chris Eccleston was great. Tennant might be my favorite now, but in my opinion, Matt Smith was Doctor Who at its best.
I think the show definitely had hit its highs with Tennant and Smith.
Yeah.
And obviously, Tennant's my favorite all time out of all 14, 15 Doctors, but Smith is up there. He's definitely my second favorite.
Well, yeah, and of course, as you know, he's mine because he was my first Doctor and all that stuff. Capaldi was interesting because, there were some things I liked about the previous two seasons. You could definitely tell it was a different quality in this season. Season 10 was a definite uptick. because we had different characters, some of that. And I'm just gonna say it. I want as much Nardole as I can get my hands on. I love Matt Lucas in that role.
Yeah,
He's like the doctor's. He's like the doctor's keeper.
I am the only one legally qualified to kick your ass.
Yes, that was one of my favorite things. Was when he revealed himself to the doctor on that. Shit, what was it? Was it a prison planet? Well, the one where Missy.
An execution planet.
Yeah. I like that when he reveals himself and he reads all this out from the book. Oh, it was great. The last living will and testament of River's song. It's giving me permission to kick your ass.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Because I'm undecided. Nono or Strax? Who do you prefer?
Oh, Strax.
Oh, for sure.
But
it's hands down Strax. But there was a lot of Nardole was really, really good with this doctor.
Yeah, I agree.
Now I'm not gonna lie. Like obviously, I would have loved to see Nardole and Smith. I think that would have been just a bonkers time.
Yeah.
They would have been too much bonkers.
Well, it's kind of like Smith and Nana. Am I right?
Okay. More friends than anything else. Yeah.
Nana, right? That's Catherine Tate, right?
Yep. Donna.
Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Donna.
Dr. Donna.
Yeah. So what were you guys' thoughts on Bill Potts? Who I actually enjoy Bill.
Me too.
Yeah,
I like him, but again, for me, nobody makes the puns.
Of course.
The peak, Bill was a step up from what we had the last time, but not my favorite. Not up there with one of my favorites, if that makes sense.
After everything we've gotten, it kind of brought me back to the days of Martha in a way.
Yeah. And obviously, we did a 4-hour video about just talking about Doctor Who companions. Obviously, nothing's ever going to beat the S-tier companions of the Pawn, Sarah Jane, the Brigadier, Captain Jack, Rose Martha Donna, but Bill is she's the quintessential companion. It's a shame we didn't really get to see too much of her because she last.
That's the thing. Like I would have loved to have seen more of her, and I think I would like to think that if Capaldi had stayed on, she was kept going as his companion.
Yeah, me too.
I want to ask you guys something because I'm on Ridicule right now. I didn't finish her first season. Do you guys prefer the one-on-one Doctor Who companion or Doctor Who group companion?
I don't know. I like the family dynamic, so I've always been partial to the Pawns and the Doctor because of that dynamic. But that's hard though. There's so many great one-on-ones.
What about you, 50?
I don't know. To me, it all depends on the Doctor. It depends on the companion, and it depends on the stories being told. I can enjoy just the Fifth Doctor Nyssa in a standalone thing. I can just as easily enjoy Patrick Troughton with Jamie and Zoe or Jamie and Victoria. So and obviously Whittaker. A lot of people say that one of the big downfalls of the Whittaker era is the fact that she had 3 companions.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Okay.
I wouldn't agree with that.
I don't, mainly because of her second season.
Okay, well,
it was special, but I think it's definitely tough to juggle more than one companion at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on the storytellers and how they handle each companion individually.
right.
But obviously, clearly, for Tennant, the one companion per season dynamic worked.
100%, yeah.
For Smith, he really worked best with.
But also, Tennant's companions were able to interact with each other, whereas the other Doctors weren't. For whatever reason or another, their companions aren't able to come back.
Yeah.
And For Smith and the Ponds, I would say it's different because in the way they're all related, Whitaker's companions, they're not three strangers, more or less. Does that
No,
make sense?
Well, no, two of them do know each other.
no,
Was it step grandpa or some of that?
no. They have the grandfather grandpa dynamic, and
Yeah.
they also have the school friends dynamic. So they're
Okay,
all
but
intrinsically tied with one another, as opposed
for
to
me,
Whitaker's newest companion, which is a complete and total stranger to the other companion.
okay, for me, it's missing that familial bond that the Ponds had, in my opinion.
Well, that's the thing. Like while we did have it with the pawns, though, like the tenant stuff felt more cohesive, felt more like a universe, felt more lived in. There's definitely a lot of relatability, and I feel like after Matt Smith's time with the pawns, say whatever you will about Clara, like I do enjoy her first season with Matt Smith, but basically there was nothing they could do to top the pawns and everything that came before. It was impossible.
You can't recapture lightning in a bottle twice.
Yeah, and they captured lightning in a bottle quite a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, basically. I mean,
So 50, you were the only one out of us watching at the time. So what was it like coming into this season?
It felt great to finally see Capaldi be the doctor that were promised without, we're not gonna go ahead and say it, without the anchor of Clara, without the training wheels,
Yeah.
without all that.
And
When
you can see that now that he's got that you can see that Capaldi now has the room to breathe.
Yeah, he's got that doctorness that you're really looking for in every doctor. Again, it's a shame that it only happened 2 seasons after he was introduced, and only in his final season. And at that point, it was already a known thing that he would be leaving. So it was like, okay, we got one more season with this guy. Let's make it a good one. And in my opinion, it was. I think while this season is not my favorite of Capaldi's seasons, I think it's his best performance as the Doctor. And I just want to address something that Capaldi is like, out of all the Doctors, he's had the most character changes out of all of them.
Out of the ones I've seen, yeah, I would say so.
It's almost like Stephen Moffat definitely had a handle on Smith as the Doctor, but with Capaldi, he just tried to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And you see that in his first season, he was the cocky, I'm going to go ahead and say selfish.
Oh, for sure. He was more arrogant, self-aware, like he thought he could get away with stuff.
Above everybody. In his second season, he was kind of like, in his second season, he was kind of this existential crisis, 40s drunk uncle living with his parents' house, doctor with the guitar and the sunglasses. And in his final season, after everything that happened on Darillion with River Song, it was like he was the intelligent professor, teacher, mentor type role. So he was a completely different Doctor in every single season he had, and that's what makes him one of my personal favorites. I think he's my top 6 or 7 favorite Doctor because he's so multifaceted. Like I love Doctors that change during their entire run. That's why we're gonna have to talk about him eventually. William Hartnell, one of my favorite Doctors, because he's such a different character in his final season than when he is in his first season. I like that kind of change. And it's interesting that they actually brought the first Doctor, not William Hartnell, obviously, but the first Doctor back to do an episode with the 12th Doctor, because those are 2 Doctors that are incredibly similar to one another in terms of how much they've changed over the course of their run. And it's great that Stephen Moffat did that in the end.
Yeah, there's one scene in this season I want to talk about. Is with the monks, Bill was trying to save the doctor,
Mm.
but he had
Is
to
this where he's
act
still
like,
blind?
was he blind? No, I don't think.
Where she gave up
Yeah,
the world.
they didn't test. He was testing Bill.
Oh, okay, later on. Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah, I bought into it. I thought he really converted and to the get this here. You see, that he's not smart to think that far ahead. I thought it was great.
Mhm.
And you
What
know
do
what
you think
the
of
best
that?
thing about that scene is, Ben, is that
Well,
I don't think it would have worked with any other doctor, especially not the modern doctors.
I wouldn't say maybe Tenet. I wouldn't say maybe Tenet.
There was a scene earlier in the season. I cannot forgive me. I don't remember which episode, but it's basically where Capaldi's doctor is explaining what about the human race, and Bill finally realizes just how much he cares. You know what scene I'm talking about? They're held captive. I can't remember which episode it is.
Oh, it's
I want to say Smile.
with the racist guy after he punches him, and he's like, "The measure of a species."
Yes. That
Which,
one.
again, like I said, Matt Smith is the king of speeches, but Capaldi's really giving him a run for his money.
Yeah.
And even later, she says, like, "Oh, so you're 2,000 years old? I just wanted to know how long it takes to make a speech like that."
Yeah. That was a great line. Like they do have great chemistry. They do have great chemistry because it does feel like that professor student thing, and because we know that Bill is the first openly out character since Captain Jack, that we're not going to get any of those normal shenanigans that we got gotten earlier in the series revival.
Yeah. Which a lot of people love, but some people didn't. You know?
I thought it made for some funny moments.
Yeah. And
For
also,
me, it depended on which companion and which doctor it was on. Like, yeah, I like some of it. I like some of it, to be honest.
and also speaking of that dynamic, I love in not one of my favorite episodes, but Knock Knock when he's helping her move, and everyone's like, "Who's he?" He's like, and she's like, and he's like, "Oh, I'm her," and she says, "Grandfather." I was like,
Grandfather.
I don't look old enough to be your grandfather.
Yeah, or the right skin color. No, that was pretty good. I like that. I did enjoy that episode. Very self-contained, stayed on Earth like Nardole wanted.
Yeah.
Really, I like the episode. It was a little too creepy for me, but I liked it.
Mm. Yeah, those characters are definitely a little.
Yeah. And with the one with all the bugs, right?
Yeah.
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 The bugs in the wood.
Yeah. One thing about with that audio with that vinegar, I noticed they use giant spiders a lot in the show.
Yeah, that was definitely a Whitaker episode.
Okay.
But there were some giant spiders in the moon episode where the moon was an egg.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I used to be afraid of only bees. The more giant spiders I see, the more creeped out I get from them.
Nice. Huh.
So it's
I
doing
don't
its
know.
job.
What?
So it's doing its job because its job is.
Really.
That's true.
Yeah. But it's spider. Yep.
There's nothing itsy bitsy about those spiders.
No, definitely not.
Kind of reminded me of Harry Potter.
Oh God.
I think at this point you can't think of giant spiders without your brain immediately going to either Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but what was the one in Harry Potter again? I want to say Aragog.
Yeah, that's what I
It was
said.
Aragog? Okay.
Yeah.
Low down.
There's one more movie I think of when I think of giant spiders. and that is the all-time classic, Eight-Legged
Naked
Freak.
Freaks. Yeah, I will watch it one day.
There is
We'll
a
watch it together. I want to see your reaction. And Giant Smiley can't punch this out a dude. That's all I'm going
there
to
for
say.
it. I'm there for it.
There is also a Giant Spiders episode in the John Pertwee era Doctor. It's actually his last episode, his regeneration episode.
Oh,
We knew
Really
one
called
with
Planet
Tenet.
of Spiders.
We knew one with Tenet too. Or am I
so yeah, that was the Christmas special, Runaway Bride.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Arachnos. That was the Arachnos, right?
Yeah.
That was right. That was the first time
Yeah. the first
Tenet
time we
and
saw
Donna
Catherine
went
Tate.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great Tenet. That might be my favorite dynamic of the show.
That
To
was
be
pretty
honest
fun.
with you.
So do we want to go a little bit episode by episode and talk a little bit about some what we liked and didn't like?
Sure. So yeah, let's start off with the first one, the pilot, where we're introduced to Bill. We're introduced to who she is. She works in the cafeteria at the university that the Doctor is in. She falls for a girl named Heather,
Yeah.
who ends up getting taken by a puddle of oil. Huh. So, what? Any thoughts on that episode?
It's a great introduction episode to a companion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great season opener. Not really one of the standout episodes of the.
No, it definitely set the tone.
Yeah, and it also establishes the Doctor and Nardole dynamic. It introduces the vault idea.
Which
I agree with
the Pandorica, but you know,
I agree with everything you guys are saying. The only thing I can get on is I don't like the villain of the episode.
yeah, it is a weird villain.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Like,
Did you?
hmm?
I gotta bring up something that irks me a little bit. Is that how they chose to show out the Daleks in this episode?
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
Me neither. And it's like
I
guess you need to just stamp the whole what. Okay, we got a Dalek appearance this season. Yay! That's something that Stephen Moffat used to do a lot. We just had a random Dalek show up in an episode for no apparent reason, if for no other reason than just to say there was a Dalek this season, and you needed the Doctor and Bill running away from a Dalek to put in the trailers. And I also didn't really much care for the fact that he, once again, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is a curse for the Stephen Moffat era of Doctor Who, because he cannot help himself but just taking something from the classic series and shoving it in your face. And he threw the Doctor and Bill right into the height of the Dalek Movellan War. And yeah, it's great. We get to see Movellans again, but did we really need that? And the Doctor saying the deadliest fire in the universe. Wouldn't really the Time War be the deadliest fire in the universe? Not really the Dalek Movellan War. So, I don't know. Always love seeing Daleks. Not really a big fan of how Stephen Moffat handles them sometimes, especially in this episode.
For me, the Daleks are my favorite villain.
Same.
But they're best used either as a series finale or in a two-parter.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the season.
Don't waste the Daleks on just you're running away from a water-based villain and you want the Daleks to shoot at them. Which ultimately does nothing, but whatever.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird choice. So the next episode was Smile, which was...
But again, something good that Stephen Moffat does with Classic Who, we got to see Nardole with a classic sonic screwdriver.
That is true. And I just want to say I'm not a big fan of this current sonic screwdriver.
And a bit of the Capaldi.
The current, like that, the one Capaldi has in the season. I don't know. For me, it's a little too gaudy.
Yeah. But it does fit Capaldi's doctor.
It does. It does. Now you see now Nardole. Yes, I do remember seeing him get previous Doctor's screwdriver. Now whose was it? It looked like it had a round thing on the top.
Yeah, it looks like the one that the Seventh Doctor had in the movie.
Okay.
Which then went on to become the Eighth Doctor's screwdriver. And apparently the Doctor has a collection of screwdrivers in a little cup on his desk, alongside another thing I love, a picture of River Song
and a picture of Susan.
And it also brings me back to a Comic-Con that happened, I think, before Capaldi's second season, when Jenna Coleman was still Clara as in that season. In a Comic-Con, someone asked Capaldi, which companion would you most like to travel with on the show? And then the guy moderating the panel immediately ran up to Jenna Coleman and covered her eyes.
Nice.
But another thing I love about that Comic-Con panel is Capaldi answered the most brilliant political answer he could have given. It was like, I think if given the chance, the Doctor would be happy to visit to see his granddaughter again.
Oh, of course.
Which I'm guessing that's why Stephen Moffat decided to put that picture of Susan.
Oh, maybe. That would have been pretty cool. So the second episode was Smile, which was an interesting one because it kind of reminded me of the library episodes. Just for how like the big setting, but everything is quiet except for like a handful of people, you know.
Yeah, I have to be honest. It was a good episode, not one of my favorites.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. I will say that.
Yeah, I felt it was a little preachy sometimes.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
A lot of the Jodie Whittaker episodes are also very preachy at times.
So I've heard.
Yeah. I'm not for today, but I have thoughts. But
It's an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, this one was just a meh episode.
Yeah.
Really.
I will say though. What?
After you're 50.
I will say though, the actress at the beginning of the episode, the one that tells the other woman that everyone is dead, and then they kill her, and then she's like, "Look at me, I'm smiling." That actress was from the Sarah Jane Adventures.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
She played the mother of Sarah Jane's second neighbor that became like a main character.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And also, just again, pulling on a thread, that particular neighbor, her actress was in Legends of Tomorrowland.
Oh, yeah. Who did that acting play? Do you know?
Remember, Charlie is a shapeshifter?
Yeah.
Her first episode, she was like this punk rock band member. That was her first form before she took the form of Vixen. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Her first form, that was the actress.
Okay, I remember that. That's cool.
I see a lot of Legends of Tomorrow DNA in Doctor Who, if that makes sense.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt if that was done on purpose.
I mean, they got Arthur Darvill for the first episode. And they literally have a character named Rory in it.
Yeah.
But
that one, though, that's just coincidence because Mick Rory was his name in the comic books. Yeah. But I see where you're going with that, yeah.
And I love just seeing Arthur Darvill talking to Mick Rory, knowing he played a character literally named Rory.
I love Arthur Darvill. I wish I saw him in more bigger stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Good.
Actually, but going back to the Pawns for a second there, isn't it kind of weird that all three of those actors eventually got involved in time travel franchises? Arthur Darvill with
yeah, that's right. Yeah, Arthur Darvill with DC, Karen Gillan with Guardians, and Matt Smith with Terminator.
Oh, and Henry Smith.
Yeah.
I prefer not to think of that movie.
Big tease of a movie. Okay, the third episode, Thin Ice, was actually one I actually really enjoyed. Because I like stories that take place in Victorian era London.
It's a shame we didn't get to see the Praetorian Gang. Sorry, that's from Star Wars. The Pastinaka Gang.
Oh, yes. Strax and them.
Strax and Jenny.
Yeah, because we haven't seen them at all since the first Capaldi episode, have we?
Yeah.
Sucks.
I think that episode was like a farewell to those characters. Just Stephen Moffat saying goodbye.
Yeah, I don't like how when each Doctor takes over, it feels like a soft reboot. And for the most part, they ignore all the old characters. Like, I would have loved to see some of the Smith characters interact with Capaldi.
Yeah.
Other than Unit.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. There wasn't that many.
It would have worked because it's still the same showrunner. It's still Stephen Moffat. So
yeah.
He didn't do that.
I would have loved to see Strax and Capaldi in more episodes.
That would have been great.
Me too.
We could always melt them with acid. Who knows?
Yeah. We will melt him with acid. But it's great that I think what Stephen Moffat was trying to do is he wanted to give the Doctor and Bill more time to be together, because if he throws in like the Pastinaka Gang into it, it just
it would have been too much. The Doctor, Bill, and Nardole was just exactly what you needed for this season.
Yeah, and I love Stephen Moffat with classics. I love the throwback to like the William Hartnell era storytelling of each episode leading into the next.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the pilot, we see Bill running towards the TARDIS, and there's the whole setup in the next episode, Smile, with Nardole going back to make tea. The Doctor and Bill go into what they do, and the episode ends on the frozen Thames, which directly leads into Thin Ice.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, when you watch them episodically, it's like, okay, it's a cliffhanger. When you watch them in a binge format, which is what I did, now that is, you basically get a full sense of a story, which is what the first, at least, William Hartnell season was. It was one episode leading into the next and the next and the next sort of thing.
I know we're not there yet, but I want to ask, how did you feel about the new actor playing William Hartnell's Doctor?
I think David Bradley is the perfect choice.
Yeah. I mean, he played William Hartnell, the actor, in...
such a great TV movie.
So good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Adventure in Time and Space. Try to find a bed. It's basically a TV
biopic.
Creation of the show.
It's a biopic about William Hartnell, but also it's a biopic about the early days of the show. It's great.
Yeah, it is really good.
You haven't seen that yet. Okay. Cool. All okay.
Okay, but it introduces a certain actor which got a much bigger role in Jodie Whittaker's second season. Just, bit of a tease.
Okay.
But that episode, if nothing else, it shows that David Bradley can pull off William Hartnell. Which, fun fact, again, I know we're not there yet, but fun fact about William Hartnell, okay, he was the first Doctor to get recast because, leading into Regeneration, also as the Doctor himself. The first Doctor is not only the first Doctor to actually be recast as the first Doctor, he's also the first and so far only Doctor to do it twice.
That's true, because they recast him for some of the other specials, but obviously that guy's probably dead now.
No, he was long dead. We recast him for the 20th anniversary special, and the actor who played him there also passed away. They recast him again as David Bradley.
Yeah.
So he had the most recastings of any other Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask something, Disney? I'm guessing you would be the best one to ask.
Probably not.
If William Hartnell never died, would we still have a regeneration plot?
Well, no, he didn't regenerate because he died. He regenerated because they didn't think he could do the role anymore. Because by the time they got to that regeneration scene, like he was having trouble.
Yeah.
But okay, my point is, if he was in perfect health, would we still have the regeneration?
I guess it was just a lucky sequence of circumstances that because he got so sick to play the role, they had to recast.
Yeah.
That's why they introduced the concept of regeneration in the first place. That's why the show's still going on as it does today. Because of, again, an unfortunate circumstance which led to just storytelling brilliance in a way.
It was a happy accident.
Yeah, very happy accident.
And it makes you think if they never did that, would the show still be where it is now? And
Yes, we'll never know. It was a stroke of genius by Sidney Newman that instead of just killing the show, he decided to keep it because the show was just too big at that time. So it would be stupid to give up on it for those reasons. Which again, it's why I don't have as much of a problem with actors getting recast. And I'm gonna say this till the day I die. I'm gonna say this till the day I die. I think they should recast T'Challa and have T'Challa be Black Panther in the next Black Panther episode. That's my rant. Has nothing to do with the show. But
no, I was going to go there, 50. I 100% agree with him, but
the franchise is bigger than the actor.
I don't care either way personally. I'll just give me whatever. I know it'll work.
We get another Black.
Yeah. Anyway, what is next, Soda?
That's Knock Knock, which I think we already talked enough about. So
we did, yeah. So then after that, there was Oxygen, where they had to go into outer space with a distress call, and people are getting killed by smart suits, which is a fear of a lot of people.
And it's also another kind of preachy episode. Would you say?
Yeah, I didn't like this one. This one, not only was it preachy, it reminded me of something over the scene in the modern era with Smith and Tennant. Like, did we really need to revisit this well, in my opinion? I didn't think so. What did you guys think?
It was fine. It was forgettable, really.
It was the only memorable part of it is because it introduced again the serialization of the show.
Yeah.
The Doctor getting blind for a couple of episodes.
And then that sets up the next trilogy of episodes.
Yeah. It was kind of nice and funny at the same time to see just Bill with the blue alien.
Yeah. Yeah, because then they're trying to relate on the whole racism thing.
Like, no, I'm usually on the receiving end of that.
That was a great little exchange.
Yeah, which just it proved that racism isn't just one towards another. Racism is it's everything. So
yeah, it comes in all sizes.
You're not excluded from being a racist because for lack of a better word, because you have a black friend.
Yeah. And then we have Extremis. Is it Extremis or Extremis in this universe?
I'm sure it's Extremis, but I mean, who really cares, right?
Yeah, so this I like because we got how Nardole ended up with the Doctor. Because if you remember, after the Husbands of River song, you kind of left him in a certain place, and then wasn't really explained how he ended up with him. But you got that explanation here, and this is where the aforementioned "I am the only one legally allowed to kick your arse."
But I do think that flashback stuff happened after the return of Dr. Mysterio, because if it
he was there with Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah, but the Doctor wasn't guarding the vault in that episode.
That's true.
He was still traveling, so I'm guessing it happened after. I'm guessing something happened in the Nardole just left, and then he came back with Dr. Rivers' diary.
Yeah.
It's nice to see River's diary again. That's some part of the continuity I like whenever stuff
Yeah,
like
the
that
one
comes.
through line.
Yeah, and fun fact, Jodie Whittaker did say that River Song was a character she wished she could have acted with.
That would have
rather
been pretty fun.
than with.
That would have been fun.
So the show, she never comes back again.
Well, no, her character's dead at this point.
Yeah, long dead at this point.
Yeah.
Although,
The only other way would be if they like plucked her into a story from like a random point in time and then have her miraculously forget, like they did with the time of the Day of the Doctor.
well, it's if the Doctor knows who River Song is, but River Song doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah, that would have been fun. That would have been some fun, I think.
Although I will say this, in The Husbands of River Song, and one of the times where you think River figures out who the Doctor is, she's like, "You know who you remind me of?" And he's about to say, "Yeah." And she's like, "My second wife." And the Doctor's a female now. There might be something there. And Chris Chibnall did bring back Captain Jack Harkness twice, which is another Stephen Moffat original character, very similar to River Song. I mean, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
Maybe.
no, I see where you're going with this. I see where you're
He's
going with
got 2 more episodes, rather 3, I suppose.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but I don't think Alex Kingston is coming back.
I don't think so either, but one can hope.
I can't remember. Did Captain Jack and River ever meet up?
No. Oh God, no. There's no the TV screen wouldn't survive.
Which is why they did meet in Big Finish.
Yeah, but
no TV screens necessary.
You know who's a big fan of Big Finish 50? PJ Campbell.
Really?
Yeah, me and him were having a discussion about it on Twitter the other day.
Cool. Hi, PJ.
And I name dropped you, and he said it's really nice to have somebody else champion the Big Finish stuff.
He said that, or you said that?
He said that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love.
Let me have him on your show.
Yeah,
and then Alex Kingston and Sean Neverman never share screen in the Eververse. I can't remember.
No.
Yeah, I think they might have. I think Malcolm Merlin threatened her at one point.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long show.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. So after Extremis, we had the pyramid at the end.
What?
Sorry, Ben?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's the pyramid at the end of the world where just this random mysterious pyramid just shows up right on the border of Russia, China, and the American armies. Another interesting episode here.
It's a fictional country called Turkmenistan, which is actually the same country which was heavily featured in the first Zygon episode of Capaldi's second season.
Oh, nice.
So it's basically it's a Capaldi original thing.
Yeah. Yeah, in this one, you have the Doctor trying to do his Doctor stuff without revealing that he's blind until the very end. And that's what causes Bill to pretty much give up the human race, the planet.
Yeah. Which, it's so clever how they did that, where the monks, they need to rule you, but it needs to be consent. It needs to be out of love, not out of fear or strategy or anything else. And clearly, Bill loves the Doctor. Obviously, not as much, not in a Rose Tennant.
Yeah. But it's a different type of love.
It was done out of love.
Yeah.
And out of care for the Doctor. Which also, another thing I found it funny was the fact that it was kind of a play on the whole joke of, oh, aliens built the pyramids! Yeah.
Hey, they did in this case.
Yeah.
Also, did you notice that up to this point, almost all of the episodes in this season have either been single word or just 2-word episodes?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, me neither.
The pilot, smile, thin ice, knock, oxygen, extremis, pyramid at the end of the world.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, and then after that, we had the Lie of the Land, which was interesting.
I mean, it was a little difficult watching that episode now with the context of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Which kind of lets you know that if the human race was actually coming to an end, you probably wouldn't even know about it until it was too late. Everyone thinks it was going to be like a nuclear war or starvation or an asteroid. You probably wouldn't see it coming until it's too late. Let's just say it that way.
And next is Lie of the Land, which is the continuation of this monk trilogy, and now the Doctor's working for the monks.
Allegedly,
yes, and even like
right.
the test he gives Bill. Like, dear Lord.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the episode, though, is when she's like, and he knew, referring to Nardole, and he's like, yeah, just like, why I ought to punch you. I laughed. So
wait, look, we got the band back together. Look,
yeah. God.
Now let me ask you guys. I already said I bought into it. Did either of you buy into it, or did you know?
I totally did. Did.
I mean, there's a certain point where, like, you say, no, he's taking it. Of course he's taking it. And then just when they finally meet, and it's like, oh shit, they got him.
Yeah. It was acted really well. That whole thing was acted really well.
That whole sequence cements Peter Capaldi is one of the best doctors in my opinion.
It reminded me of my favorite scene of the whole show in the Family of the Blood, where Tennant had to act like John Smith when he was the Doctor again.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, that is my favorite scene of the whole show, and nothing else.
Oh, it's a great scene.
It's a great episode.
It's great.
Yeah. That episode made Tennant my favorite Doctor. There I said it.
Yeah, I believe it. It was acting masterclass from David Tennant. Those episodes.
Absolutely,
for sure. And then next up we had Empress.
One final point is this is about the closest that Doctor Who has ever gotten to 1984, the book / movie.
Oh yeah, okay. George Orwell. Yeah.
Basically 1984 in Doctor Who with the monks, which is kind of funny because the main actor from the 1984 movie is also an actor who played the Doctor, and he also played a Big Brother type character in V for Vendetta. So, it's all wibbly wobbly, tiny wimey coming all back together.
Yeah.
Like that.
Next up was Empress of Mars, which brings back the Ice Warriors to the Doctor.
Yeah!
NASA finds God Save the Queen buried under the ice cap of Mars, and this is interesting. The Doctor, Bill, and Nardole discover soldiers from Victorian Britain on the moon, of all places.
Of course.
On Mars.
Yeah, on Mars, sorry.
Which is even weirder.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I watched it. I was like, what? Okay, wasn't expecting that.
It's a weird episode, but it's a fun one.
Oh,
fun
for
fact,
sure.
You know how long it takes to get from the Earth to Mars?
8 months.
Our current modern technology?
8 months.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 6 and 9 months. But 8 months is generally the time frame.
Every time I see Mars now, I wonder, every time I see it in like a movie or a show, I'm just looking in the background to see if I see Matt Damon anywhere. Because,
I've had a completely new appreciation for potatoes after watching that movie.
Nice.
I love that movie. That movie is so damn good.
Not a comedy, though. It's not funny at all.
Yeah,
There were some funny moments. Yeah, I laughed.
There were, but it's not a comedy. Fun fact about this episode, so the Alpha Centauri returns, voiced by the same actress who played the Alpha Centauri originally. She has been retired for many, many years, and she came back to voice the character.
Yes, I love it. Again, I mean, it's another one of those, okay, Stephen Moffat has to put a classic thing in this episode, as if the Ice Warriors weren't enough. But, I mean, when I saw Alpha Centauri, first of all, when I heard the voice, I was like, wait a minute, I know that voice. And then Alpha Centauri shows up on the monitor, and I was like, yeah, Alpha Centauri, yeah, it's a setup to that storyline. It's
she will be 97.
But okay, I don't care. It's a
She
setup.
will be 97 in May. and she came back out of retirement to do the voice.
I mean, good on Stephen Moffat.
The last thing she did was an appearance in a TV version of Oliver Twist in 1999.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And after that, there was... Oh, sorry, Ben?
I was just going to say, with that actress coming back, do I really want to open up this can of worms? I will. Oh well. It's kind of like the original trio coming back to Star Wars. I mean, it's nice to have them there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Sorry, I opened up that can of worms. I just have to say.
I thought you were going somewhere else, and I was prepared for it.
I mean, at least the original trio didn't ruin the timeline as much as showing Alpha Centauri in the 1800s does. But, you know.
The Eaters of Light.
Which, for a very long time, was the lowest viewed episode of the show all time.
Really?
Yeah. Prior to Jodie Whittaker's last season, that was the lowest viewed episode of all time.
Why?
I don't know. Just didn't like it.
Huh.
Or maybe
Tell us
people
about this episode
fed up
first.
with the show at that point.
Yeah. So with this one, they go to 2nd century Scotland. Yes.
To search for the 9th Legion.
Yep. Of the Imperial Roman Army. Yep.
It was great. Yeah.
And it's another callback to that scene with the blue alien of Bill thinking she's progressive by announcing that she's lesbian, not really realizing that for Romans gender wasn't really that.
They didn't care.
No. Wasn't that taboo as it became.
No, there's plenty of historical evidence that the Roman soldiers got a little too comfy with each other.
I wouldn't say little, but okay.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to keep it PG for the kids, 50.
Let's be honest. We're talking Doctor Who. What kids are watching us right now?
That's true. You never know.
You never know.
And then after that was World Enough and Time, which is an interesting title.
I still don't quite understand the point of that title. I assume it's because there's some timey-wimey messiness happening in there that maybe it affected the title. Like
maybe
enough World or Time was like the original title, but because of the timey-wiminess of the episode, they rearranged the words to reflect the uneasiness of time flow in the episode or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what's interesting about this one, it's revealed that Bill has been turned into a Cyberman.
Yep.
Right.
Not just a Cyberman, an original Mondasian 1966 Cyberman.
Yeah, they brought back the original designs for this episode, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Which I'm going to say is I'm the obviously the Doctor Who aficionado on this channel.
Really? You know what to say?
Yeah, you don't say. I wonder what gave that away.
But obviously we saw Cybermen in the Next Time tease for the next episode. That whole thing really caught me off guard. I didn't realize it was Mondasian Cybermen until way, way, way later in the episode. I mean, okay, so you hear the familiar voice of the Cybermen. You see people wearing these. Yeah,
it's a mask and a flashlight.
That's what they had to work with in the 60s. Yep. But I realized it way late into the episode that this was actually the direction they're going. And
nice.
Well, again, I have my ups and downs with Stephen Moffat bringing in classic stuff into the modern era. It really made me feel great seeing that original design, which in and of itself was a foreshadowing for the first Doctor showing up at the end. Which we didn't even talk about that. The episode opens with basically the ending of the episode, the Doctor starting to regenerate in the North Pole.
Oh.
And then one I like George doing. And knowing his finale and it kind of looks backwards from that until the finale.
Yeah.
When done well, it's great. I don't know if I ever seen it that badly, but I like it when shows do that.
There's
And
also
Stephen
one.
Moffat is the master of that.
There's one very important thing about World Enough in Time in the next episode. The Doctor fails. It's the return of John Sims' Master,
Which is the first ever on-screen multi-master story.
Yep.
We've seen multi-doctor stories over and over again. This is the first time two masters have been on screen at the same time.
and arguably two of the most popular masters.
Yeah.
Okay, another question for you guys. Did you guys buy Mrs. Election or Mrs. Confusion into being, I don't want to say a hero, but kind of like an anti-hero,
Anti-master.
anti-master?
But
Did you guys buy into that?
that's the beautiful thing about Missy, is that you never know when you can trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Doctor doesn't know. You never know when she's on the Doctor's side or when she's on her own side, which in this case happens to be twice over. I will say this about John Sims' Master. Well, it was great seeing him back. He's one of my favorite masters.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my problem with it. Okay, so we talked a lot about Stephen Moffat in this episode. All right, now let me just go on a bit about it for a second there, because I haven't done that enough. So Stephen Moffat, great showrunner.
Yeah.
It's one of the best characters in Doctor Who history in River Song.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to create another one of the best characters in Doctor Who history, Missy. Somewhere in the middle, he kind of stumbles a little bit and created the character of Clara Oswald, but we will forgive him for that. I do not like his John Sim Master. I do not think he writes the Master good. This
representation of that Master.
Yeah, I don't. Here's what it felt like watching it. It feels like John Sim is acting out his version of the Master as written and dictated by Russell T Davies in the Tennant era, but he's acting his version of the Master to scenes which are essentially written for Anthony Ainley's Master.
Oh.
It feels very Anthony Ainley era Master to me personally, which obviously they couldn't bring him back because he passed away before the show's revival anyway.
Yeah.
But that's what it felt like. It felt like Stephen Moffat was writing this role specifically for Anthony Ainley's Master, but the actor who got to play it was John Sim.
I don't know that actor because I only one.
Actually, believe it or not, he's the running Master of all time. He's the what? He was the longest running Master of all time. He was the Master for 4 different Doctors.
Oh wow! So did he replace Delgado?
Yeah, it was a weird stroke of event. Again, a little bit of history for the show. Delgado was scheduled to come back for the John Pertwee era, but he died in a car crash while filming another show in Turkey. And so they kind of had to rework the Master into a skeletal creature, which I'm assuming that's where Russell T Davies got the idea for a skeletal Master for David Tennant's last episode. So he only had 2 more appearances during the Tom Baker era, but at the very end of the Tom Baker era, he took over the body of a character played by Anthony Ainley, and Anthony Ainley essentially stayed as the Master for the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors periods, and potentially even at the beginning of the movie.
Oh wow!
I believe that it was his body was destroyed at the opening scene of the movie.
Okay, that makes sense. That would make sense. Okay, so now we have the final.
But here's something I want to share about the Doctor and his dynamic with the Master, and it's something that he says to the Master, and it's like he knows he's going to be dead in a couple of hours, so let's just hash this out, you and me, one last time.
Yeah.
Winning? Is that what you think it's about? I'm not trying to win. I'm not doing this because I want to beat someone, or because I hate someone, or because I want to blame someone. It's not because it's fun. God knows it's not because it's easy. Not even because it works, because it hardly ever does. I do what I do because it's right. Because it's decent. And above all, it's kind. It's just that. Just kind. If I run away today, good people will die. If I stand and fight, some of them might live. Maybe not many. Maybe not for long. Hey, you know what? Maybe there's no point in any of this at all. But it's the best I can do. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to stand here doing it till it kills me. You're going to die too. Someday. What would that be? If you thought about it. What would you die for? Who I am is where I stand. Where I stand is where I fall. Stand with me. These people are terrified. Maybe you can help a little. Why not? Just at the end. Just be kind.
There we go.
Well, wasn't really the reaction I was hoping to get.
Well, it's just I didn't know if you were done or not.
No, that's why I loved doing the show with Ryan in the back when we did the 5-hour thing, 6-hour thing. It was like he had the perfect response to that. It was like, do you see this face? Take a good long look at it. This is the face that didn't listen to a word you just said. Which again, it's something that Anthony Ainley's master would say. Play five.
It all comes back full circle. All right, let's.
And I think we're alive.
Speaking of which, let's wrap this sucker up. So that leads us into the season finale, The Doctor Falls, which is a continuation of World Enough in Time, where doctors try to console Bill, who's retained her humanity. But later on in the episode, Heather from the first episode comes back and saves Bill. And so now they're off to traveling the stars together.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what happened with the Dalek episode from last season, where we see basically every single Dalek design. On Skaro, we kind of see every single version of the Cyberman.
Yeah.
On that ship. From the Mondasian versions to the Telosian versions to the to the Lumic versions to the modern Capaldi versions to Planet 14 to Marinus, which is one of the main reasons why the Cybermen are among the most complicated and convoluted villains in all of Doctor Who, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
They're almost impossible to arrange a full timeline for these guys because they had multiple origin stories, this being one of them.
Sounds like most old school comic book characters.
Yep. That's what makes the show so great. It's a live action comic book.
Yeah. And this was, you'd think this is the episode the Doctor regenerates. Nope. He completely ignores it, forces himself to stop it, and at the end of the episode, he exits the TARDIS and runs into the first Doctor.
But before that, might be my last time saying it, so here we go. Stephen Moffat bringing back the classics. It was basically just, what he's trying to do when he shows you, like, all the other previous companions going, Doctor! Mm-hmm. From Rose all the way up to Clara. It was basically what happened in Tom Baker's final season. When he regenerated, he saw all of his previous companions and all of his previous villains, as a matter of fact, calling out his name. But it made sense for Tom Baker because he's the longest running live action TV Doctor of all time. He was only here for 7 seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, like with Moffat, though, it was kind of the end of an era because Moffat and Davies kind of almost were hand in hand. Yeah,
which is why I think it also makes sense for they went all the way back to Rose, Martha, and Donna.
Yeah.
Because it was the end of, I guess you could call it Doctor Who's golden age.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Up to Capaldi, because it was completely an end of an era. It was the Whittaker stuff, while I love it, and it's definitely Doctor Who, it is nothing like what we've grown used to. Different showrunners, completely different actors, almost completely different cast and crew. Even the composer is gone. Murray Gold is like after this, and this was basically his swan song in a way. For
we know Western TV is coming back, right?
Yeah. Well, at the time, it was.
No, I know, but now we know. Now we know he's coming back.
Which, by the way, we gotta talk about that. There was some news happening over this week.
What's there?
Remember when it was announced that he would only be there for Series 14 to shepherd in the show's 60th anniversary? And then he's gone.
Yeah.
Not the case anymore. He's staying on for all the way up to 2025, the 20th anniversary of the Revival series, which means he's staying on for at least two seasons.
Perfect.
So
he said in an interview that he just can't keep away from the show.
No, of course not.
Do we think any old Doctors will come back in any capacity?
The 60th anniversary for sure. I mean, it would be a wasted opportunity not to do that.
Really, the only one that's a toss-up right now would be Eccleston.
And I'm pretty sure Capaldi even said himself he's not sure if
he would do it. Yeah, because he's pretty much he's done with it.
But he's probably the biggest Doctor Who fan on the planet, so I'm guessing he might come back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can see
that's just the best thing ever. It's different scenarios, obviously, but it's kind of like Ben Affleck getting to play Batman.
Yeah,
the biggest Batman fan ever is Batman. So, see what
were you gonna say, Ben?
For the 20th anniversary for the Revival, that's when I can see Eccleston coming back. He's not in it all.
Eccleston was in a convention recently promoting the next series of Big Finish Doctor Who episodes he's doing. And he really opened up and shared a lot of previously unknown details about why he left. It very much is the Russell T Davies problem. And the people who worked with him at the time. What I would hope would happen is I wish they just get Russell and Chris in a room together
and work it out,
hatch things out. If not for the show, then just because they were good friends before that, before they had a falling out. It's just I like to think that creators and their actors have this sort of good relationship with one another. It just things to happen to go for the better for the show, but also as people. But I will say this also: in another recent interview from Russell T Davies, he mentions that there's no reason why Doctor Who shouldn't be as big and wide of an expansive universe as the MCU and references other stuff that I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, he's definitely planning on a lot of spin-offs and to expand the world of Doctor Who. He's particularly planning to bring Torchwood back. And he also mentions, rather name drops a few, like, there's no reason why you shouldn't have this type of show or this type of show. And two of the ones he mentions by name. He doesn't say he's working on ideas for, but it's something he mentions by name specifically, which, he's very much Kevin Feige in that way. He does not do that for no reason. He specifically mentions, he even gives a name for one of them, The Adventures of Nyssa. And the other thing he mentions is, again, he's going into very specific detail here, a 6-part miniseries of the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor. He actually said that.
That would be pretty cool.
Probably have to happen. I mean, you would assume it would have to happen after the Day of the Doctor when they already met each other.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because if you look at when David Tennant first meets, when the 10th Doctor first meets the 11th Doctor, David Tennant plays it as if, okay, he's not shocked that he's the Doctor, but he's like, he kind of knows him. He's kind of familiar with him, which doesn't really happen a lot, that past Doctors recognize their own personal futures. So I'm guessing they might have met at some point in the past. I guess that was the implication there. So anything with Russell T Davies at the helm, everything is possible. Nothing is off the board.
Could we finally get a continuation of Shani?
Yes, hopefully.
Again,
it's not a Russell T Davies original character, so why wouldn't you? And she's been great in Big Finish. It took them a long time to get there, but she's great in Big Finish.
Yeah, I agree. They should have done stuff with her earlier. But lastly, we do have the Christmas special, Twice Upon a Time, which is the story of the first and the 12th Doctor.
And another thing I want to say, that back in the Colin Baker era, there was an episode called The Two Doctors, which is just the 6th Doctor accidentally running into the 2nd Doctor. And it wasn't a special, it wasn't an anniversary thing.
It was just an episode.
It was just a random episode dropped in the middle of a season. Like, out of nowhere. Why can't we get more of that? Like, why can't we get more multi-Doctor stories, like, in the middle of a season? That's just a bit of a minor rant that I have. But it's great seeing the first Doctor back. One of my favorite Doctors. Two of my favorite Doctors, as a matter of fact. The first and the 12th. I will say this. I don't think David Bradley quite 100% captures the eccentricities of William Hartnell's character.
Oh, yeah, there's only one person that can do that.
William Hartnell, yeah. He was a one-of-a-kind actor. But he's about the closest you can get.
Oh, for sure. He fits seamlessly into it like a glove.
Yeah, and it would be nice if we, speaking of Russell T Davies bringing in more shows to expand the universe, it would be nice to get more episodes with David Bradley's Doctor. I know he's voicing the Doctor in Big Finish stuff. He introduced a completely new series of First Doctor stories with him. It would be great to see him in live action more. The more
You know what would be cool? I don't know if this would work. I would imagine a few, like a miniseries of Sean Smith, played by David Tennant.
That'd be something different.
But it would mean we would get to have Martha back, so I'm for it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, bring back Martha again. It's another character they very recently did stuff in Finish with her. So
why didn't you say that name?
Management is interested in coming back.
He said Martha. It says DC.
Yeah.
I'm a joke. Leave me alone.
I know. I said this is a DC.
Kind of bums me out. Speaking of Ben Affleck's Batman, kind of bums me out that with that movie they essentially ruined the name Martha forever in people's minds.
Yeah.
It made it a punchline.
They don't think of Martha Jones. They think of that other Martha, which really upsets me.
That name. Another name. Great. Yeah. All right.
And I loved the 12th Doctor's final speech. Again, Stephen Moffat delivering one final hell of a final performance, because we all know that Stephen Moffat has a problem ending things, but when he does end something, he does that masterfully. I don't think it quite rivals Matt Smith's final scene, but it's a great final scene for Capaldi's Doctor. The scene, I was in tears watching it, which, by the way, I watched it again because when we said we were going to do the rewatch, that's why I asked for confirmation on our group chat, because I watched the whole season all over again in one night.
Of course you
including the Christmas special, because of course I did. And I was bawling my eyes out when Capaldi died this time around. It's great to, and also I'm kind of realizing the William Hartnell generation originally, that was the first time I actually cried when a Doctor regenerated.
Really?
Like, that's when I was like, yeah, the Doctor regenerates. It's a thing that happens, and I watched regeneration scenes on YouTube for years. I thought I knew what was in for it. I saw Eccleston regenerating into Tennant at that point. So I knew what was coming. That was really the first time I was like, oh shit, these actors, basically the character dies, becomes a completely different one, and you have to say goodbye to the actor. So that's one of the reasons why the Hartnell stuff is so emotionally tight. That's why it's one of my favorite Doctors. Because you realize these actors only have a finite amount of time as these characters. And that's why it's so special that only a handful of people in the world got to play them.
Yeah. And the next time we're back, we will be... Sorry?
Great finale to a great season.
Yeah.
And a pretty great Doctor.
And the next time we are here, we will be talking about the next incarnation of Doctor, the first female Doctor, Jodie Whittaker's. Definitely some interesting stuff there because there's
the Doctor that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of.
Also, speaking of which, about when the Doctor wakes up from almost regenerating, Capaldi, that is, he wakes up in the TARDIS and he says two very key important things. The first thing he says is, Sontaran's perverting the course of human history. The second thing he says is, I don't want to go. And he says that in the exact same tone that David Tennant said his final words. It's really the first one I want to focus on. He says, Sontaran's perverting the course of human history. Just keep that in the back of your mind for a while. Just say it.
So on behalf of myself, Ben and 50, we will, like I said, we'll be coming back with Jodie Whittaker's first season over here on the Northern Entertainment Group. So definitely keep an eye out for some new shows, some old shows that are going to be returning. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all of our content and all of our Twitter and our Facebook and what have you. And don't forget to subscribe to Ben Rainer 2 on Ben_Rainer2 on Twitter, right?
Ben_Rainer.
Yeah, Ben_Rainer. Ben_Rainer on Twitter. For 50, it's he's got a Twitch stream and he's got his Patreon that you can always go check out. Pokemon Starcrest and Cross.
Cross and Crescent. And I'm also getting my own Doctor Who related show on this very channel.
Damn right. Yep. So 50 can wax poetically as long as he wants, under an hour. Well, yeah, yes, we'll talk. And as for myself, _the_Saxman, Instagram and Twitter. So we will see you next time on Recapping the Past, the Doctor Who edition. Have a good evening, folks, and stay